Live from KTV in Reno, you're watching 2 News at 6:30.
And if you have higher population density, you can run buses and people can walk and you have a more compact city.
It's no secret the Reno-Sparks area needs more housing, but experts say it is more important that we build the right type of housing to address the problems. That is tonight's 2 News Big Story at 6:30. Good evening, everybody. I'm Landon Miller. Kristen is off tonight, and thank you for joining us. The Economic Development Authority of Western Nevada, better known as EDON, hosted a housing summit called The Missing Middle, focusing on the middle range of housing that's missing from our area. Brandon Foos joins us now live in the studio. And Brandon, what's missing here?
Well, Landon, experts say there are several styles of homes that fall into this category of the missing middle, but it's really about the size of it. Single-family homes take up too much space, but they say the really tall apartment buildings aren't ideal either. That leaves the middle.
A lot of communities are slow to develop the missing middle. That's 2 housing units to 50 housing units.
Thursday, public officials and developers gathered at EDON's housing summit called the Missing Middle. It's a pitch to build more affordable housing in more densely populated areas. That means fewer single-family homes and tall apartments.
It's really all that in between, the townhouses and condos and other things that give you a more livable environment where you can live, work, and play.
Keynote speaker Stefan Lehman is the director of the UNLV School of Architecture. He says the first step is to stop expanding the city.
You need to say enough is enough and stop that and have a growth boundary, a tight growth boundary, and you need to densify and grow inwards rather than outwards.
He says increasing the density of a city has 2 main upsides. One is reducing vehicle traffic as more amenities become available in walking distance, and the other is lowering costs.
We don't have to drive for everything like buying milk and bread and butter, but we can walk, or we can walk to the pub in the evening, or we can even walk to work. I mean, how ideal would that be?
So it helps you on traffic, but it also makes a difference on cost. If you use a square mile of land and build 4 houses, or you build condos and townhouses, you can put a lot more people on that same land at a much lower cost.
Now the hope is developers and public officials will help create that urbanization. Now, Lehman had an interesting example of a developer changing behavior in a city. Developers built this waterfront property in Taree, Australia, and they expected everyone to be riding bikes, but it was basically empty. So what the developers did, they included a new bike for everyone who moved in, and right after, hundreds of people were out using them. Just an example of how developers can be creative. Covering the big story live in the studio, Brandon Foos, 2 News.